If you were Justin Baldoni, how would you have asked about Blake Lively's weight? I'm excited to hear your suggestions. We have made it to the point in the timeline where Justin has asked Blake Lively's trainer, Don Saladino, how much she weighed. This has been framed in the lawsuit as fat shaming. So we're going to talk about why this is or isn't fat shaming, how this fits into the scheme of events, and how this plays into the larger story of power, which is what I'm tracking. I'm not an expert, but this is what I'm seeing. I want to say that it was really hard for me to find more information about this. So my references are a page 6 article and the timeline from the lawsuitinfo.com. Hi, it's future Brianna. I published this video originally March 2026, and I found that in order for this video to be received in the way I intended, there needs to be some additional context. So that's what I'm going to be giving throughout this video. And if you do follow me on TikTok at brianna.thinks, you will find that this one is different. The first thing I need to say is that trying to understand Blake is not the same as defending or supporting Blake. I simply want to try to understand her so that this situation makes sense. I'm trying to find the pattern, and I can't really find a pattern if I don't sort of take her at face value in some ways to try to understand how her brain works. Also, if I say something critical about Justin, that doesn't mean that I think Justin deserves anything specifically that's happening to him. I think that it's very reasonable to assume people don't always make perfect choices. And so being critical of one of them doesn't mean that I am condemning him as a person. I need to clearly state that I don't think this confrontation was warranted. I also don't think that there really was going to be a way for Justin to have asked that wouldn't have ruffled feathers. Roll the tape. On April 22nd, 2023, Justin Baldoni reached out to Don Saladino to ask how much Blake would weigh in 2 weeks. Well, Don found this to be sus, and he reported back to Blake and Ryan, who then raised hell. I don't think that this was fat shaming because Justin and Blake had talked about her weight multiple times, and he each time reassured her that she didn't need to worry about it, she was going to look fine. I can't see how he would then just suddenly need to make a big deal about how much she weighed unless it had a real function. I feel like if he really was wanting her to feel bad, he could have just affirmed her concern each time, being like, yeah, you really got to kick it in. Have you considered Ozempic? Oof, 135? I don't know. Yeah, I see why you're freaking. Like, he could have done anything else other than this. I just feel like it just doesn't make sense. But it also doesn't make sense that he would say that he had low bone density. Like, where are you 80? He told Don that he needed to know because he needed to pick her up for a scene and he has back issues. Now, their argument against this is that Don has made him a workout. And that's the thing. Don was not a stranger to him. Don had created a program for him to do on his own. And this back issue had not come up. So that's why they feel like this claim is false. But I just can't think of any other reason that would make sense. This week I was on a pro Blake subreddit, celeb legal drama, and they were talking about this fat shaming. One of the theories I saw is that the day before Justin asked Don how much Blake weighed. Also, remember, Blake is 5'10", so it's going to be difficult to guess how much she weighs because she's so tall. Anyway, the day before he had met with the intimacy coordinator, and so because of that, they think that Justin was trying to get Don to pressure Blake to try to lose more weight. I personally find this false. As an apparent exerciser Justin is, I don't think he would be, I think he would understand that Blake was doing pretty much as much as she could. You can only do so much before your body just shuts down. I don't think he would have wanted that. So I just find that theory to be dumb. The thing is, it doesn't matter because I truly don't think that they're upset about him bringing up her weight. I think this is about something else. So this incident occurs about a week after the rooftop scene incident. So we see that Blake is she's sensitive. He has to be careful how he talks to her. So I really think that he probably felt like I probably shouldn't ask her because she's also like really mad at me from last week. And she doesn't handle stuff the way that I expect her to handle stuff. So I'm just going to do it this way. I feel like he thought that he was exercising care by not like bringing up something she's concerned about. At the same time, I feel like we have to acknowledge how violating it probably felt for them to find out that he asked someone else about her personal information. I'm not saying Justin was intentionally trying to violate Blake. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes so I can try to understand why the situation escalated. That removes her agency to have someone go around her to get that. So I feel like I get why they're upset, and I think that that's valid. Now, when I looked at the Khaleesi text, I said that I felt like that was the turning point. She said, I guess I have to stop worrying about people liking me. And I feel like this incident is when that we first see her not worrying about people liking her, because she has recognized that me trying to be nice and worry about hurting people's feelings and disrupting the process, or however she put it, is not working. And I think this is when they decide to go a different route. On April 22nd, he inquires about the wait. On April 25th, Blake and Ryan have Justin to their apartment where they confront Justin. Ryan says, "How dare you effing ask about my wife's weight? Who do you think you are?" Who do you think you are has always struck me. It's like one of those lines that just pops out. I know that this quote is Justin's retelling, so he may not have even said it, but for some reason, it just feels like Ryan may have genuinely been trying to figure out who Justin is. I think there was some envy there. And Justin and Ryan wasn't sure if Justin is a good guy or not. And I kind of think that's what that comment was about, as well as berating him for hours, maybe hoping to see him show his true self at some point during that. And Justin never showed him something that would make his feelings congruous, and that's why it lasted and lasted. Supposedly, he berated Justin for quite some time. Justin apologized over and over. Taylor Swift and Hugh Jackman were in and out of the residence, thus making it kind of a public scene, a public shaming. They claim that Ryan spoke to him sternly. So, whatever. I think this was an opportunity to do something that they were starting to feel needed to be done. So let's talk about power. I feel like power is a part in all of these incidents, but I want to talk specifically about this one. I think Justin usurps the power structure by going around Blake to find out her private information. So I mentioned the Khaleesi text. I feel like that was a turning point. I feel like there was a lot of stress building up from that incident, as well as from the pop culture comment. And this was Ryan reacting to the stress, like the stress kind of rupturing. But also, I think this was them putting Justin in his place. Like I said, being nice didn't work. So they took this opportunity to dress him down and let them know that they have power. At the end of this confrontation, Justin claims that Blake said something to the effect of, "If you can't get on board with how I work, you have 2 weeks to recast me." That's the finishing move to me. That's them saying, these are the terms now. I'm back in control. That's her taking her power back in this mess of a dynamic. 2 days after this confrontation, Blake invited Justin to fly private with her to go back to California to see his family. I don't think this is about weight, because if she was really uncomfortable because of him caring about her weight, or she was self-conscious, anything like that, she wouldn't want him in her private space. I think this was about power, and the confrontation momentarily achieved what they needed it to achieve and made them feel secure again with Justin by putting him back in his place. And therefore, what is the problem with us flying together? You know your place and I know mine. So I don't think that this was about her weight. I know that we think she cares a lot and that really puts her in a bad headspace, but I think it was about him violating her personal autonomy, but also it was about him not knowing his place. And that whole situation was them putting him back in his place. They were understanding that it wasn't just going to happen organically. It wasn't going to happen by being nice. In order for them to be comfortable, they were going to have to use force. And that's exactly what happened. I'm interested to know if you feel that this situation was really about Blake's insecurity over her weight, or do you agree with me and think that this could have been more of a power move? Very interested to know and to see your comments down below.